Pop up a box that says that a third party is streaming, so don't let that surprise you. Okay, I think we are live. It looks like we're live, folks, and here we are. It's Reclaim Your Radiance on March the 6th. So if I were to tell you that there is a simple tool that's really easy to learn that you can use all by yourself for free, pretty much anytime, anywhere, to help you deal with pretty much anything that's going in your life, would you be interested? If so, you should stick around tonight because I have an amazing guest, Corey Snowden, here with me tonight, and she is going to share her incredible story. It's so amazing. I can't wait to hear it again. It's been a little while since she told me this, and Corey is an EFT practitioner, not unlike myself. So stick around for this episode of Reclaim Your Radiance. This is my weekly video show where we learn how to heal the limiting patterns that keep us stuck and disconnected from our true radiance. Here we are going to learn how to overcome obstacles so that we can shine our light in the world. And I can't think of a more powerful way to do all of this than EFT, also known as emotional freedom techniques. My name's Melanie Starr, and I'm a life coach, master EFT practitioner, Reiki master, and yoga teacher with more than 20 years of experience in health and wellness. I'm the creator of the Holistic Divorce Healing Method and a lifelong learner in the realm of holistic health and healing. And I can't stop learning, and I can't learn enough about EFT because it's amazing. And tonight I'm delighted to welcome Corey Snowden. She's a EFT practitioner based in the San Diego area of California. And she was able to recover from a debilitating injury thanks to EFT. She's now a certified clinical EFT practitioner specializing in chronic pain, stress, and anxiety, helping others overcome their own adversity. Welcome, Corey.
Thank you, Melanie. It's good to be here.
So excited that you could join me tonight. And I'm excited for our viewers to hear about your story because it is truly mind-boggling and miraculous. So without further ado, can you just, fill us in? What happened to you? What was your situation? And when was it? It was just a few years ago, right? It wasn't that long ago.
No, within the last 4 years.
Okay. So what happened in a
And thanks for
nutshell?
having me for starters. I appreciate this. And I love sharing this story. So prior to COVID, I was born with multiple birth defects. Most have required some sort of surgery. And when COVID happened, I had elected to finally get one of them fixed. This one being, was born with extra bones in my feet. And this surgery required removing bones and moving the arch tendon in my foot to a better area. My surgery went fine. It's a long recovery. It's about 6 to 8 months. And physical therapy is a huge piece of this towards the fourth and fifth month. I fell, to be completely candid. I was at physical therapy and I fell off the machine, helping me walk normally again. And I did extensive damage to my foot. I tore ligaments, I broke bones. I popped out part of the anchor that was in the new spot for the tendon. I had so much nerve damage in my foot, I could not move my toes. And I'm sure I'm forgetting one. Oh, I ruptured the tendon that they had just moved. So twice ruptured.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a lot. It was extremely painful, to put it mildly. The doctors during COVID, I could not get in right away. So I had missed the emergency surgery window to have it corrected.
Right.
Yeah, by the time I was actually able to see the surgeon again, I had missed that opportunity. My prognosis was actually zero for being able to walk again without a cane, possibly a wheelchair. And the nerve pain was deemed so extensive that I would need permanent pain medication to be able to handle the pain.
Oh my gosh.
Um, yeah, it was a difficult time, a very difficult time. I was actually just before COVID at the highlight of my career. We had just become empty nesters, so everything was just really moving forward. And hearing those words that you may never walk again without a cane. And then in addition, there was a little, you should be happy it's not a permanent wheelchair, which kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I'm a pretty go-getter. I'm probably classified as an overachiever. I did not hear those words well.
Right.
not willing to sit for the rest of my life with the head buzzing and the, problems with the pain pills and being in that much pain. And I like to say that desperate people do desperate things, and I qualified for that. So I went outside of Western medicine and I found a naturopath, and it's lifesaver. He explained that your body is perfectly capable of healing itself. We just need to know what tools it's missing so it can do what it does best, which is heal. And he asked me for a little bit of time to heal the foot. Unfortunately, with most feet injuries, back injuries occur as well. So I had by then some back damage from wearing the boots, the casts, the scooters, just a lot. And my adrenal glands began to fatigue, unfortunately, just from the length of time I was experiencing this. So what the naturopath did is we agreed, give him some time to see, what he can do to get me back on my feet, literally. And he taught me EFT while I was trying not to lose my mind from the amount of sitting I was doing, like no movement for at that point, probably 8 months, like just, oh my gosh. And then knowing I had extensive time to go with, there will be no exercise for a while.
So your naturopath taught you EFT.
He absolutely did.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Okay.
Yep. And
I missed that the first time you told me the story.
Yeah.
I missed that detail the first time. I wasn't sure how you'd learned it or what inspired you to try it. So what a blessing that you found that naturopath.
It was a huge blessing. And he would accept zero, to be honest, zero for every week I would see him. I mean, I had sometimes 5 appointments a week, physical therapy, surgeons, naturopath. But every week he checked in, how's the EFT? And I fully admit, I thought this was the craziest.
I was going to say, what was your first reaction when you're like, I'm in all this pain. I'm told I'll never walk again. I'm going to be on permanent pain meds. And he's like, well, do this. Tap on your face. You must have thought he was crazy.
I did. I thought I had hit an official new low for like,
right. You're like, oh, great.
Yeah. And this is going to help me. Are you kidding?
You've got to be kidding me, right?
That's what I thought. However, given the desperation, I was like, I'll try anything except the prognosis that I was given.
Right.
So I did. I started tapping. I followed along. I did what he told me to. And I think it was probably weeks before I noticed I started sleeping better and I wasn't requiring as much pain medicine. Things were starting to shift. However, being a person that I was before that, I was a bit of a cynic, to be honest. I was like, whatever, it can't be this tapping thing that's, helping me.
Right.
A little bit of time elapsed from then. I happened to be at a restaurant without my crutches. My husband actually had them at that moment. And a huge fight breaks out on the patio. There's 7 people. I'm number 7. The table is fighting with the servers. Another table got into it. Oh, it's crazy. And I'm not moving. So I'm just kind of watching, like, this is very interesting. And I like the Kermit the Frog with his meme, right? Just drink hot tea and carry on. I literally was drinking hot tea during this fight. And right then I noticed I'm different, right? My anxiety to either leave the situation for a fight or try to control it with some sort of assertiveness. It didn't happen. I was watching it just kind of like, this is occurring and it's going to be okay. And then I knew, like, there was nothing I could undo, that this absolutely had to be EFT that was changing my brain. It wasn't, it was just unbelievable. I have a paralegal degree. And so one of the things I did is when I got back to the hotel, I was online. What is this EFT? I need to know what it's done in my body. Yeah. Like, what are we doing here? And how good is this? And I couldn't find anything that disproved what was happening to my body. The effectiveness.
Right. In fact, if you had gone to the scientific literature, if you went to PubMed, you would find hundreds of publications.
I did too.
Yes, hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific publications. Yeah.
I scoured it. I scoured the internet for like, this is way too good to be true. You want me to do this? And
no side effects.
None.
No side effects.
None.
And no expense. Like, it doesn't, unlike drugs can run in the thousands a month, right? Some of the really advanced medications, especially for neuropathic pain and things like that, they can be really costly.
Extremely costly. And the side effects were tremendous. So it wasn't just I don't like that cloudy feeling that people have when you take pain medicine. I don't like it. So I had
Yep.
incentive, right? Like that was like not the route I wanted to go. To
For
be
the
honest,
rest of your life.
oh gosh, no. I was like, yeah, I just turned 50. So I was like, no, I'm in a
Yeah,
prime of,
I'm in my second act or my third act. I think of after 50 as kind of like your third act, when
oh,
your
for sure.
kids are grown up and all that stuff. So what, when did you start to be able, like, what were the first signs that it wasn't just your brain that was changing and your perspective, but and it, like the pain backing off, but when did it start to be that you're like, gosh, I think I might be able to try walking? Like how did that all unfold?
Slowly, so slowly. Is there was a mind component, to be honest, is knowing that you want to move, but in order to heal, you need to stay still for an extreme length of time.
Right.
To your first question, my sleep started improving. I was not in need of getting up several times a night because I couldn't handle the pain. That was the first. I started needing less pain medicine, which I was very happy about.
Yes.
And then my anxiety about what am I going to do with my future? What about my relationships now? What about my health? All this, replaying in my head of what if, that
Right.
started calming too. I started finding my hope again. And that was a
Right.
huge piece of that is, I think I might get over this. So I did.
Did
This
that
was
make you double down on the tapping? Like, oh, I'm going to tap more now? Were you
absolutely.
were you tapping every day?
Oh, for sure. Once I
Yeah.
figured out this was
Yep.
not, the woo-woo that we always talk about, I
Yep.
was like, Tell me everything I need to know about it." And I specifically went into pain. Like, what is going on with me that's causing my body to not heal in the way that it's supposed to?
Right.
And it was, I mean, it's nothing short of miraculous, to be honest.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, nothing short of. And so then, like, tell me how your function is now. Like, are you fully walking?
Absolutely. I walk miles. I walked
Oh,
5 miles
wow.
this weekend. I take zero pain medicine. I take zero prescription medication, zero. So,
Zero.
like, I had thyroid medicine from the time I was 15 years old. I don't take that either. So, I was able to fully get myself back to life is great, right? It's
Right.
not
Because you
perfect.
look amazing. Like you don't like when a person's in pain, you can see it's written all over their face.
Mhm.
You don't have that at all. You're quite radiant.
Oh,
Speaking
thank
of
you.
reclaiming your radiance, what a prime example
Oh, for
you
sure.
are, right? I mean, you would have been, I mean, I can only imagine how you must have been feeling and what you would have looked like too, because it really does have an effect on your posture, your skin tone, everything about you. Your light goes way down.
Oh, it does. I thought
Yeah.
like, I mean, to hear these words of, just get over it, be happy, that did not happen for me. I was not happy. I was devastated. I mean, how do you go from that to that and be like, oh, I'm going to put a smile on my face? Felt extremely unrealistic to
Oh yeah,
me.
let's just slap a smile on that fact that you can't walk again in your life. No, that
Yeah.
one's pretty tough, and it's hard not to get bitter. That's what scares me about that kind of a prognosis is the risk of becoming bitter and having your relationships fail, and just it's just it's such a recipe for misery in your life. What was your doctors who were prognosticating these dire outcomes? What was their reaction when they saw you improving like this? And were they saying, what are you doing? Like, what did they think about that? And what did they say?
Well, we definitely had conversations about it. So I had several surgeons, I had a pain management doctor, physical therapist, and I'm a fairly vocal woman. So I would come in and say, I'm learning this EFT. And I just kind of left it there, like, what do you think about that? And what stunned me was all of them, 100% of them said the same thing. Oh, I've heard about EFT.
Oh, we've heard about it.
Oh yeah, and it piqued my interest. What did you hear? And they all said in unison the same thing as well. Well, not unison together, but in unison.
Sure.
We heard it works really well.
We've heard
And
it works really well, but let's
uh-huh,
not use it
that's
in the
what I
healthcare
said.
system because that would make way too much sense.
That's why I said, why are we talking permanence and pain pills for the rest of my life and
Right.
injections and la la la? And the answer was, Corey, we need you to come to our clinic. And I
Oh,
and I was
oh, you
like,
mean the
you
profit
do?
model is ruling all?
Yeah, I was like, absolutely, you need all of us in this clinic. Like, this
You
is insane.
don't.
Yeah, no. And, I tell you, within a short period of time, I'd give it just a few months from start to finish with the adversity, is I quit everything I was doing, everything I had worked up for in my life. And I went to practitioner school. I felt that strongly about it, for like, no, we need to explain this to people, that while you're undergoing illness or adversity, stress, whatever, anxiety, there are ways that you can help yourself. And it's simple, like you said in the beginning, it's so easy to learn, and you can use it literally anywhere. Like one of my
Yes.
jokes, do it under your bed, like do it in the bathroom, the car. I do it everywhere.
You can be in an awkward meeting. Like I work in the divorce area and other, I work in other trauma kinds of things, but I'll tell my clients at the mediators meeting, tap on that thumbnail point under the table. No one will even know. You don't have to tap on your face. You can tap on your fingernail.
So true. There's so many little
Corners, right?
hacks.
Yeah, there's always little tricks you can get away with. You don't have to be obvious about what you're doing. So that was that you just decided that's what I'm doing. I really need to spread the word about this technique. Um, so yeah, EFT is becoming more well known. I think, bit by bit, it's kind of like overcoming a bit of a stigma of being, this kind of like out there sort of thing. But as you know, I mean, the World Tapping Summit is just wrapping up, an amazing 10-day event. And I was listening to quite a few of the sessions about the research. There's now more than 300 peer-reviewed scientific papers about EFT. And they're not just looking at people's subjective reports of I'm feeling better. They're doing a lot of the work now that they're doing, because they have the technology, is measuring even the gene activation and, cortisol levels, adrenaline levels, blood pressure, heart rate variability, all of these markers of chronic stress and, stress related illness, which we all know that stress is responsible for the greater part of illness on the planet.
Absolutely.
Right.
Mhm.
So it's kind of amazing, and which makes me still amazed that it's not covered by insurance, and that at least not most places, and that it's not just part of the healthcare system, and that it's not sort of embraced. Like a lot of people think, well, it's like going to a psychologist, but it's not, because it's not only for mental health issues. It's brilliant for mental health issues,
For
but it can
sure.
also help, obviously, based on your experience. And you're not the only person I've ever spoken with who's had miraculous physical recoveries through EFT, right?
No, I'm
I've talked
not.
to many other people who've had amazing physical recoveries from EFT. It should be part of the system, right? It's so easy to do.
Absolutely. And you can do it anywhere. This is part of what I think separates EFT from other trauma therapies like EMDR, is
Right.
you learn how to do it on your own and you take it with you anywhere. And then you work with practitioners through what I call some of the deeper muck.
That's
So,
right. That's right. That's why I look at it too. It's like you use it yourself for the day to day, but then when it's time to go into that deep stuff, you do
yeah.
need guidance, because you're just not going to know where to go with it.
No, and I love that theory, like co-regulation. Like if you're having a bad day and you've gone offline because the neurobiology, the prefrontal cortex is not
Right.
online, then we do need somebody to help us regulate ourselves. And
That's
I
right.
love
Someone who
that.
can hold that space for you, and they know what's going on in your body that you don't, and can
That's
guide
obvious.
you. Yeah, and can guide you. How do you explain it to your clients? Because a lot of people kind of go, well, that's really weird. How does it work? So, and we'll get to some tapping, so people who've never seen EFT or never done EFT can see it, and they can tap along with us, so they'll know what we're talking about. And I want everyone who's watching to have an experience as well. But so what do you say to your clients about how it works?
I
I'm just
love this
curious.
question, of course. And I just had a workshop 2 weeks ago at a business, and I said the nervous system is huge when it comes to healing and overall health and stress management. And I say three things that the nervous system has priority over. And one, it's our messenger system that goes to and from the brain and body at all times. It's also our threat detection system. It's the radar to see if there's threat. And it also works with the prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for our logical and rational thought. For me, I want all three of those areas to be functioning at optimum levels, right? I want my radar to be accurately detecting if there's a threat. I want my messenger system to be sending the correct messages, and I want to be rational and logical with everything I do. So this usually gets people for like, what is the nervous system? Prior to my fall, I don't even think I cared what a nervous system was. I was like,
Right.
whatever,
It's
it
just doing
sounds
its
like fun.
thing. It's keeping my heart beating.
Yeah, sounds
Yay,
like whatever, fine.
it's working. I can feel my fingers. Yep.
Yeah,
Yes, fast. Yes, totally. And that's similar to the kinds of things that I talk about. I often talk to my clients about the amygdala, of course, which is that threat perception center. And
sure.
the problem that when people are traumatized by something that has tipped them over their zone of tolerance for how much stress they can take, and they're in that like trauma response, the amygdala is firing like crazy, and everything can become a feeling of threat then. And then anxiety, like generalized anxiety and phobias, can just go through the roof, and people can find it hard to do anything, leave the house. It can get pretty bad for people, and just things that they would have been okay with before, now they're anxious about. So one of
Sure.
the and also when your amygdala is overfiring, your frontal cortex is offline entirely.
Completely. And
You
who would
can't think
know?
normally. That's why you get the brain fog and the confusion sets in, and then you can't do anything. You're just stuck in confusion and anxiety, and you don't know why, but that's why. And tapping can really bring it down. The way I explained it to one of my clients this morning, because she was curious, like, how does this work? And the way I explained it to her was, well, we're going to be talking about some difficult things, right? Like some things in your life that you don't like to talk about, things that make you feel afraid or sad or whatever. And when you talk about them, they get your system activated again, and they get all that threat and everything firing. But when you tap, while you talk about those things that either upset you or scare you, it tones that amygdala down. So it makes an opening where you can actually confront the hard things in your life, the things you don't even want to say out loud, the things that you are so buried so deeply inside of you that maybe you didn't even acknowledge them before. But something about the tapping opens you up, and it hits you what that was all about.
Yeah,
This client had a big epiphany about her mother in our session this morning that was like really kind of opened her up to realizing that, oh my gosh, my mother did love me. So, right, it was just one of those moments where the truth lands in you. That like EFT opens all of that up. I call it safe exposure therapy, as opposed to like exposure therapy that really has you like hanging on to the ledge with
yeah,
all your might, completely terrified, and just like getting an inch here and there. It's like you can open up a topic that's been closed in someone's mind and heart for decades.
absolutely. It's like coming in through the back door
Yeah,
without
yeah. It's like there's no alarm going.
exactly like where
Yeah.
you're like you can't remember, like all of a sudden things come in because your cortex is back, your prefrontal cortex
Mhm.
is back online, and
You make
people.
connections again. You start making connections. You're like, oh my gosh, this thing, right? Ah. And then it all makes sense. And then when things make sense, then a lot of the anxiety about them goes away.
Absolutely. And the memory, like what we talk about is trauma gets stored in your working memory. So it like the same thing if you would have a shower in the morning, you're not thinking about, I need to go turn the water on, I need to find my towel. It's automatic, right?
Yep, that's right.
And with trauma, that's where it stores. So anything that reminds us, our bodies, of a similar situation from the past, it's coming back up. This is part of that reason why we just keep replaying it, because it's designed to keep us safe, like the safe exposure therapy, safe. That's the huge piece of this is, do we feel safe in our own bodies,
Yep.
especially given what we all went through the last few years. So,
Speaking of what we've all been through the last few years
whew,
and what's still going on, why don't we do some tapping?
I'll love to.
Let's
Let's
do
do
some
it.
tapping. Now, do you want to talk? Do you want to deal with like the sort of overwhelming the pandemic, or do you want to deal with what's happening now? Or the whole thing, maybe just the cumulative effect of it? How about that?
Sure. And I
Okay.
want to just throw something past you. I saw an email today where I thought this is exactly, at least in America, one of the things that's inundating us is the constant talk of our election. This was the subject line. The presidential election is a matter of life and death. I don't know about you, but that's going to freak me out. Like I might be dying depending on who wins this election.
It's
That's
terrifying. Yeah.
exactly. It's
Yep.
designed to make you terrified too. And I frankly think some of it works. So
It sure does. Well, it's alarming.
very much
It's
so.
alarming. And that's why I don't watch the news.
I don't blame you. That came in my email. I was like, come on.
I mean, I do, but I don't, I try not to let myself get pulled into it because I have no control over it. And it's like, I'm a Canadian. I can't vote in your election, unfortunately. And it's just, we're watching like with horror from up here. We just look with absolute horror,
Yeah.
and terror, but we can't live like that day to day. So we have to figure out a way of coping. So let's
Yes.
just start on the karate chop point. Everybody who's watching either the replay or live, this is the karate chop point on the side of your hand. This is where you start with a setup statement where you say, even though I have this problem, and in this case, even though the news is overwhelming, let's just do that. The news is overwhelming, and it's been overwhelming for quite a few years now.
Absolutely. Even though the news is overwhelming, it's been overwhelming for quite a few years now.
I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
Yeah, deep breath into the belly. Even though the news is overwhelming, absolutely horrifying, and makes me want to hide under my bed.
Oh, for sure. Even though the news is overwhelming, it's horrifying, it makes me want to hide underneath my bed.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
I deeply and completely love and accept myself.
Even though the news is horrifying,
Even though the news is horrifying,
pretty much traumatizing me every single day,
pretty much traumatizing me every single day.
with all these things I can't control,
With all these things I cannot control,
I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself.
I deeply and completely love, accept, and forgive myself.
All right. Now, do you want to go around the face points and carry on with this?
Sure. Top of the head and gentle. This is overwhelming.
This is overwhelming.
I feel overwhelmed.
I feel overwhelmed.
So I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
Feeling overwhelmed.
Feeling overwhelmed.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
I'm feeling overwhelmed.
So much news, it's paralyzing.
So much news that's paralyzing.
I'm
And
feeling overwhelmed from it.
I'm feeling overwhelmed from it.
This feeling of overwhelm.
This feeling of overwhelm.
I did an extra one. I always do that. I learned it and I love it. Just underneath the
Two for one.
I know, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And just for the viewers, just so you know, there's the eyebrow point, which is right here. The side of the eye, which is right on the orbital socket, and the little dent there. On the top of the cheekbone under the eye, there's a little dent right in the center where your pupils would be, right under the pupils if you're looking straight ahead. Top of the lip. You don't do the chin point, but right here, this is like the conception meridian right here. And then the collarbones, underarm. And you do these liver points underneath like on the rib cage.
I do.
Yeah. And they're great. I'm very tender there.
And to be honest, I just forgot the chin.
Oh,
So
yeah. Okay. No worries.
apologies.
And then the top of the head. And that's the basics. That's what we call the basic recipe in tapping. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Ah, I feel a little bit of relief
Me too. Just from that.
just from
And
that little bit.
mhm.
Yeah. It doesn't take a lot, but you could carry through that through and get more and more specific on the various aspects of what's bothering you most. Like it could, whether it's, domestic politics, whether it's wars in other countries, and whatever it is that's got you currently agitated, nervous. It could be economic news, it could be anything like that that's triggering you into a fear state of like, what's happening, what's going to happen. to tap on it. And you can do it anytime. This is also like, I like this one too. You can do wrists. Wrists are easy to do like on the bus or something, you know?
I haven't done this one yet. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. You can do the insides of the wrists.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And yeah, the wrists are good too. There's so many points. I've been doing acupressure since the 90s when my induction into holistic health happened after like a bunch of bad accidents, like getting like smacked hard, big crashes and smashes on, mountain bikes and snowboards and things like that, like just very injured. And I was in a lot of pain and started doing energy work and yoga. And I got into acupressure then. And I got this great book. I still have it somewhere. Not real handy, but the PowerPoints of acupressure. And so it's the same points. So I was studying acupressure points in the 90s and getting involved with acupuncture back then. And so I find it really fascinating because I like to correlate the organs that the meridian, like what meridian you're tapping on specifically, and the organ that it's associated with, and then the emotion that's connected to that organ, like
Wow.
grief in the lung. The sore spot, we call the sore spot here, is grief.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can rub that spot or tap it here. Liver on this thumb bed, the thumbnail bed, anger,
Thumbnail.
right? Like kidney, I do the kidney spot on the bottom of my, I'll take my sock right off. There's the kidney, the first point on the kidney meridian, if I could figure out how to get my foot into the frame, is right in here.
Beautiful foot.
Yeah, right
Right
in
in the
there.
middle.
And so I roll my feet, like if I'm feeling anxious or afraid, I get a tennis ball and I roll that under my foot and under that on that kidney point.
Wow.
Right? Like, so I find that's a very fascinating layer to add to the whole thing, is to bring in the traditional Chinese medicine, which would, you call your company EFT Meridian, right? Is it EFT Meridian?
It's
Yeah.
Meridian EFT. You're close.
Meridian EFT. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes. It's
I
so
didn't even
fun.
know this.
Yeah,
This is why we connect and we talk, right? Because you just
that's
taught me
right.
something I didn't know either.
Right.
So
Well, you learn something new. Who would, and everyone you talk to, right? Because it's a continually, that's what I love about this field. It's expansion. It's about expansion. And the work that you're doing with yourself with tapping is also about expansion, getting out of that contracted fear state into a more relaxed and expansive state where you're calm and creative, resilient, resourceful, all of these things that we really need to be today.
we do. And that's kind of like everything I see down in America is I don't see one sign of any of the stress or adversity letting up anytime soon.
Right.
So how are we going to manage this? I think we need to manage ourselves first and understand that mind-body connection. So, I mean, this is the time. It really
Yeah.
is.
And just imagine if everyone in the world was tapping. A lot of the problems that we have will go away. Like a lot of, like all that hate, in my opinion, like I feel that hatred is based on fear.
Agreed. 100%.
Right? It's like, I feel threatened by something I don't understand. And so if it's all about this perception of the threat that somebody else represents, it's them, the threat that they represent. And, if everyone was working on calming down the amygdala, can you imagine?
Yes. I mean,
Right?
we should take more responsibility for ourselves. We would know how to manage these emotions because we are our emotions. And
Yes.
then we are able to have that capacity to help others when we're not doing this all the time. And I'm sure up north, you can see that we're seeing a strain. And yeah, bringing that back home for you can't control what happens externally, but you can absolutely control what happens internally. Knowing
Yep.
how to do that is key. Like we see it all the time. Just be positive. Just let it go.
Just be positive.
It's like, no, teach them how to do the tools so they can be this way. And
Well, don't you love that about EFT too? Because we go right into the negative.
yeah,
Like, even though, everything is going to hell in a handbasket. Like, even though inflation isn't ridiculous, even though it's terrifying, this election, even though the war in the Middle East is awful, the war in the Ukraine, I mean, it just goes on and on, like this violence on the planet, it's just terrifying and people are suffering and it breaks our hearts and we can't stand it and all of that. We don't shy away from the
No,
negative. We
no.
train our nervous system to handle the negative,
Yes, I love the
and
way
then
you say that.
and then have the creative capacity to create something more positive.
For sure. And we
So,
can lead other people when, I mean, you think about the leaders, and not everybody wants to be a leader, including myself, but when you think about what does a leader have, one is the ability to withstand adversity, and the other one is to do it in a calm manner where people can hear it.
right.
So, we're not going to be following people who are overly reactive. We're going to be following the people who are like, this is how we do it. This is where we need to go. And we
Yeah,
need more of that right now.
we
Is
do.
yeah,
Yes, we do. Well, I'm really glad that we're doing this show, and we'll have to each share it with our networks and try to get the word out about tapping. And, it's a tool that anyone can use anytime, anywhere for free. And there's a lot of resources online about it. It's not hard to find a video that's going to show you how to do tapping, right? It's very easy to come across. So I want the viewers to be able to find your website. So if you can post it in the comments
absolutely.
after, like, it'll take a few minutes for for you to get off the call and go and pop that in there, but will be great so people can find. So folks, look up Corey, look up me, find out what we do. We have a lot that we can offer to anyone who's dealing with chronic stress or anxiety, pain, problems in the relationships, things that in your life that are scaring you, upsetting you, making you feel like you can't move forward, making you feel hopeless, any of those things, full of grief, full of trauma, all of that stuff. That's what we do with EFT is we look after that stuff, and it's amazingly effective.
Oh, for sure.
Amazingly.
It's unbelievably effective. And
Yeah.
I don't know if people have seen Argyle yet. It's one of the newer movies down here.
I've
She's
seen
tapping.
I've seen the ads for it. I'm kind of interested.
She
Yeah.
tapped. She does. She does an interesting thing. Like she and Jennifer Lopez, I didn't see her movie, but I've been told that they are both Jennifer Lopez and the actress in Argyle. They're tapping in the movies as well. So it is making its way, especially
That's
through Hollywood.
great. That's great.
I know,
That's
right?
how to spread the word. Get it into movies. That's awesome. I
That's
love
for someone
that.
else.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. So to everyone watching, thanks for watching. And please feel free to share your comments about the show in the comments. Reach out to Corey or I if you're interested in learning more about EFT and seeing how you can help yourself with this tool. And don't forget that you have the power to create meaningful, positive change in your life, and you don't have to do it alone. We have your back. Thanks for watching, and see you next week.
Thanks, Melanie.
Bye, Corey. Thanks so much. That was fun. We'll have to do it again.
For sure. Let me
Yeah,
know.
maybe we'll do a workshop together online. That'd be
Why
fun.
not? I
Yeah,
would love that.
that'd be
Get the
fun.
word out.
All right. Okay. Talk to you later.